Hey, sorry for the long wait. Sort of been busy. So the E72, got a couple questions on it. People were asking, oh, how does it compare to N series and this and that? The first thing to note is that this is a business phone all the way through. There is nothing here that would lead you to believe, that this phone is made for anything but, some hardcore yuppie business CEO. Everything from the look to it, very staid, very stoic, black and steel. All of these are plastic parts. Very black steel, heavy metal parts. Yes, it's got a good camera, very good camera, comparable to N series without the Carl Zeiss lens. But a single speaker, no dedicated camera button, a small screen, 2.36 inches. There's not much going on for somebody who wants something for media consumption, as Nokia would say it. That's really where the N series come into play. That being said, it's not a bad phone. If what you use it for is texting, of course, emailing, that's really the main focus of this phone, to get in contact with somebody via text really fast. Because since I've been using the keypad, this little number keypad's kind of a pain in the ass to use. So it's just really a business phone through and throughout. Don't buy it expecting a Nokia, even let's say an N79 or N78. It's nothing like those candy bars at all. It'll probably turn you off a little bit. As the hardware goes, once again, solid, hefty device. Nice metal rim, metal back. The keys are competent in their pressing. Decent feedback for a small chiclet type keyboard device. I do think the keys could have been made maybe a little bigger, or perhaps with a slight curve through the middle, sort of like the Blackberries do have, because it takes some time to get used to it. I mean, I can pound away on here pretty good now, but I'll be honest, it took me a good 2 weeks to get used to the size of the keys and sort of the formation. There is some doming to them, as you can see, but it would have been helpful to differentiate between them, going sideways. So maybe a little curve or something like that would have helped. As far as the rest of the build goes, this right here, it looks like it's nice brushed metal. It's actually all plastic. No complaints. I mean, it looks nice. It feels, definitely plasticky when you touch it, which may be of a little shock. But excuse me. No complaints. For the most part, these the dedicated keys, the home / menu switcher, calendar, contacts, and email, you can reset all of them to whatever you want. For example, I set this up for texting instead of email because I do that more often. They also have both a long press and a short press action. So if you press it, for example, if you press it once, it'll go to messaging. But if you hold it down, it'll go to a new text. Oops, a new text right away. And of course, correspondingly for the rest of these, hold down his or tap his contacts, hold down his new contact, tap his calendar, hold down his new event. etc. I don't have a problem pressing the send and receive keys. I do have trouble with hitting these soft keys though. I consistently am hitting home and the email key, or the soft keys when I meant to hit, either of these dedicated keys. I don't know why I'm doing that. I do feel they could have probably used a little bigger space here. Maybe it's just, I'm maybe got big fingers, I don't know. Maybe they're just too big, but the soft keys are giving me a little bit of trouble. As far as build quality of this goes, like I said, it feels plasticky, it's not a big deal. But it looks nice. I don't think there's any sort of point in this getting scratched up. I think it's pretty resistant even if it is plastic. I do get a little squeak from the this sort of navigation bezel. I don't know if it's just the build quality of this phone in particular, or something common to all of them, but it's a little creaky, which I did not expect for such a nice looking, hefty, and well built otherwise device. The D-pad, they have an optical pad in the middle here, and then a normal D ring here. I'll be honest, I turned the D-pad off pretty quickly. It's kind of useless. Even on high setting, you have to, when you scroll through things, one flick of your thumb will move you through only one item, so you still are pressing like 20 times to go down through a list. Why do that when I can just hold down or left or up or right? I think the problem is compounded by the fact that the D-pad is so small. Had the D-pad been, or had the center key been this big, as big as this whole D-pad, I think scrolling would have been a lot better. You could probably get through 2 or 3 items at once. But with only the center portion being the optical pad, it's almost pointless. It does have one cool function, is that when you touch the pad and the camera is on, it'll autofocus, and then you can just press to capture. So that's kind of cool. But otherwise, it's kind of useless. Be honest, you won't end up using it. I do have to give credit to Symbian at this point, that their optical D-pad actually works throughout the whole menu system, not just certain functions like the Navi pad would, in, for example, the N78. The Navi pad would only work through the menu or whatever, but if you got into some specific application like a game or whatever, it would just stop working. So I have to give them credit. They finally figured out, hey, use the same control scheme through everything. Like I said, if they wanted to make this better, either make the whole thing one giant optical pad, sort of like the Blackberries have done, or the way this, I don't know if you can see it, the way the D-ring is set up, it's actually pretty nice for just rotating your finger around it. It actually runs pretty smoothly. So had they made this into a Navi pad with their, for example, like the N79, it probably would have worked better, because this is just perfect for just scrolling through things. The thumb just glides over it, but whatever. They did not do that. The earpiece is pretty good. Front-facing camera. I do have trouble with the power key. It is a bit recessed and a bit hard to press. You really do have to put some pressure on there, but could just be this device. The side keys are pretty solid, and there's the voice key. Say a word. David Hume. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. The single speaker on the back, like I said, useless, utterly useless. If this is in your pocket, you won't hear a thing. But that's okay. It's not a media-focused device. 5 megapixel camera, and everything else is pretty solid. People have complained that the back pops off, that this is not enough of a clasp. I haven't had that problem. I think it popped once on me, but I don't think I'd put it in fully. It hasn't really gotten loose on me before, so maybe they've changed it in recent months. But it's a pretty solid device overall. Okay. One thing to also note that, sort of this has a business focus is, well, let me just go quickly over the software. Actually, it's standard Symbian S60 feature pack 2. Nothing has changed here except for the screen size. It's a landscape view versus the vertical profile setup that it usually has. Everything else in here is as you'd find with a standard S60 phone. Nothing new, nothing different, except for a voice dedicated key. Camera functions are beautiful. No complaints there. There's also a radio and internet radio, and as far as media goes in that sense, if you have it through a headphone, it's not so bad. But don't bother playing through sort of the speaker. This has a little N series type scrolling for the gallery, which is kind of cool. And of course, this being Symbian, there's always multitasking. For example, just hold down the, let's say, run converter. I can always hop back to the home screen and then hop back to whatever I want. I mean, everything else is pretty standard fare. Nothing sticks out, special for the E series in terms of software. Maybe less frivolous stuff, but definitely a solid texting phone. As sort of mentioned with the keyboard here. I can pound away now, but it emails and text pretty fast. Took a while to get used to it, like I said. The keys are a little small. The screen would have been nice if it was a little bigger. 2.4 inches would have been nice. That also would have given the room to make keys a little bigger. I think the E5 is set up that way, which is the new S40 phone, I think. Otherwise, like I said, everything else is standard Symbian fare. Nothing new to show off. And once again, to everybody who's saying, oh, I want this phone, understand that it is a business phone. You won't get anything fun and cool with it. It looks nice. You can text away, but you won't have any, these a nice big screen to play on, nice big speakers to listen to some music. Great quality music. N series, they usually sound better, they look better, and they take better pictures, for a reason. For example, if I go to contacts, normally nowadays phones have, places you can put the image of your contact and this and that, little extra details. This doesn't even have pictures, which is not important to me. But most people would say, hey, I want to see my contact, and that's not the case. It's business. I don't care what you are. Instead of having a picture, they have a portion here where what's their job or where do they work. I mean, naturally, this being enterprise phone, that's the focus, not frickin' picture. I do think the contact list is pretty nicely set up, and you can go there quickly and do things on the side. Also, one thing that this has over the N series, actually I totally forgot about it, is a smart search. So you just start typing away at a number and it'll bring up whoever has that number, and for example, Ian Farb has that number, Ford, or I just made these numbers up, I don't know what they were. But I'm glad that Nokia has sort of implemented some sort of smart search into their phones. It's been about time, Overall, like I said, very solid business device. If you're texting heavy, go for it. If you want a phone to play games, listen to music, take cool pictures, get something else. But if you want solid business style, classy looks, and great text, This is the phone to get.